All right, is this thing on? Is this thing on? Let's test the live stream. We should be live. So in this masterclass, I'm going to go through how to get streams on your music. This is talking about traffic, internet traffic. How do you get people to pay attention to your music, go to your music, be directed to your music? Streams on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. It doesn't matter the platform. It all starts with what's called traffic. So we're going to get into this today. I want to make sure that my stream is good to go. Let me just double check the audio real fast. And oh, my thing's on mute. Streams on YouTube, Spot. There we go. All right, so we are good on the audio. So if anything pops up, just let me know. But I'm going to get straight into the presentation today. So again, if you don't know me, I'm Game from BusyWorks Beats.com. We've trained over 1 million producers around the world. So we're going to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, YG, Lil Baby, Polo G. I already said French Montana, YG, J. Cole, Trippie Redd. I said Polo G like 1,000 times. Kendrick Lamar, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, on and on and on. A lot of the top artists in the world. Okay. And you can go to busyworksbeats.com/premium to learn more about our premium. I redirected the website so you guys don't get sent to a different page. All right. We got Mauricio here. What's up? Gio is here. Thank you for letting me know we're good on your end. And today is all about how to get streams. So I'm going to start with the science behind this. You know, you're getting a lot of advice from people online, which is fine. But all you hear about is Spotify this, Spotify playlist this, Spotify playlist that. That's a lottery game. And let me explain something to you guys. Spotify has 100 million songs in their catalog as far as content on their platform. So in order for somebody to discover you, quite literally the odds are 1 in 100 million. That is insanity. Okay? That's like hitting the lottery. Actually, let's look up odds of hitting lottery, which should be 1 in 200 something million. So that's about half the odds of hitting the lottery. You expect somebody to even just play your song. You're not even going to get $1 million. You're just going to get one play on your song. For one play of your song, the default odds are 1 to 100 million, which means basically never somebody will accidentally stumble upon your Spotify. Okay, basically never somebody will stumble upon your SoundCloud. Basically never someone will stumble upon whatever the platform is. So we have to direct people to the platforms to increase our probability of somebody playing our song. That's the first foundational principle about all of this. If you ignore this, you're not going to have success in everything else I'm talking about. It starts with how do we gear and lean these probabilities into our favor? So again, the odds of hitting the lottery are 1 in 292 million. The odds of getting one song play on Spotify is 1 in 100 million. That's half the odds of winning the lottery. You expect to get one play. So let's first get that narrative out of your mind, because if you live with the narrative, you will always fall to be a victim of these schemes. Okay, I can only call them schemes. I can't call it scams because it's not a scam. It's just not delivering to its optimal maximum value. So I want to say what's up. Sing-alongs here. What's up? How did I work with Drake? I didn't work directly with Drake. I've actually worked with multiple people who worked with Drake. So that's cool. Some who just got Grammys, actually, ironically. But before I get into all the production stuff, let's talk about the business stuff. Let's talk about traffic. This is what marketers will not tell you. All the videos I guarantee on YouTube that you guys see are how to get Spotify streams, how to get on the Spotify playlist, how to get Spotify editorials, how to get this Spotify curator to listen to you. It's just like this pick-me game. And I'm teaching you an entrepreneurial approach to internet business where you can control your destiny, where you can have, put the odds in your favor, where you can be the house instead of trying to play against the house's odds. Technically, we don't own the internet, so technically we don't own the house, but you can put the odds more in your favor with these marketing principles. I've learned from Frank Kern, who people understand. He was mentored by Dan Kennedy, one of the goats of marketing. Tony Robbins and all them were advised by Frank Kern. So I've learned from Jeff Walker, who taught me launches. Frank Kern taught me marketing and how to be more strategic. Jay Abraham taught me a mindset and how to leverage to get more. These are all the foundational teachers who taught this stuff. Evan Pagan taught me about organization and business and how to use that to influence and multiply your results. And so I'm giving credit where credit's due. Brendan Burchard was another pivotal teacher in all this. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that these guys have taught the kings of the world. Your athletes, your top athletes, your top politicians, your top content creators. Tai Lopez, for example. Oh my gosh, talk about a GOAT. Tai Lopez, if you ever watch this video, I just want to give you a hug through the YouTube screen. Man, that guy is a genius, and he's like the next level of all those people combined. Tai Lopez. So if you guys want to learn, what's up, Bullyfinger? So if you guys want to learn, those are the foundational principles as to how I learned. You got to learn from the real guys. And then once you get that foundation, then you can move into all this other stuff. So everybody's just given a regurgitated approach from them. Let's be honest. Okay, I want to shout out Dan Tana is here. What's up, the homie? How do I get artists to jump on my beats? You can't force anybody to do anything. So let's remove that language. How do I get artists to jump on my beats? You're trying to force somebody to do something. And the number one law in this universe is you can't force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. Okay, so you need to understand that your ego is stopping you because you think you can make other people do what you want. And that's called manipulation. That's called ego. That's called selfish intent. That's more of a narcissistic trait. Okay, where you think the world outside of you is just your video game to play with. These are real souls, real people with intents. And it's our job to understand their intent and help them get to their goal. What you're trying to do is say, I want this destination. I want to force somebody to walk in that way. And they're not walking that way. They're walking this way. Okay, you need to help them walk that way faster, not direct them over there because it's your selfish intent. So that's the first foundational thing about your approach is it's not going to work because you're forcing people to do stuff. Record Reverie says, hi, what do you recommend to learn to mix my tech house? We'll get into mixing a different day. This is not that day. Dantana, business is the most important, honestly. How to keep people from stealing your beat? You can't. Anytime you put anything online, if Omnisphere can get cracked, your beats can get stolen. So nothing can't be stolen. If Facebook can be hacked, everything can be stolen. Nothing's protected. And my point in saying that is that you need to detach yourself from trying to police your beats being stolen. There are sites that, can study 1 second of audio and match it up in their content ID system. A lot of lawyers are kind of using this to build platforms. It's called PEX, P-E-X, for example, as a foundational technology to build their platforms on it. And then they go searching for your songs for a fee. I'm pretty sure that technology or the type of that technology is used by BeatStars with their, what is it called? Content ID. I forget the exact BeatStars thing, but a lot of those guys are just using a white label service from sites like PEX, P-E-X. But that's really advanced stuff that average people can't understand. And, they're BeatStars for a reason. Okay, how to keep people from stealing your beat? You can't. Putting a tag on it's probably a good idea, but also putting your name in the title so that even if people steal it off of YouTube, at least they know who to credit and go back to. Not just like, I forgot who I got this beat from. Dan Tanner says, I appreciate your content, bro. Nice headphones, by the way. These headphones are Audeze MM500s. These are really expensive headphones, but they just came out with a lower, more affordable headphone, which I'm actually surprised. They're called Audeze. If you hear my son, he's just about to head out. So we're going to let him gear up a little bit. But I'm a lot closer to my son, which is a great thing. So the Audeze MM100s are more affordable. So if you guys want to get started with the good monitoring, you guys got to get good headphones if you're mixing over headphones. I would recommend the Audeze MM series. These things are magical. They make my Sennheiser sound like a piece of paper. I was like, wow, what have I been doing to my ears this entire time? This is like hearing music. The other stuff is like hearing a piece of paper shake. All right, so we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it all. Why you're not famous then? I've taught people who are at the top of the chain. You guys got to know fame is constructed. Let me give you a quick lesson. Fame is constructed. It's all about exposure. The person with the biggest budget can be exposed the longest because these platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Google, it all runs from ad revenue for the most part. The person with the deepest pockets can spend $100 million to make you think they're a celebrity. The reason you think Kevin Hart's a celebrity is because you see him on every commercial. You see him in every movie. You see him in every, that costs money. And the same with The Rock. You just saw him so much more and more and more. It's called exposure bias. And this happens with artists, for example. So this is why when Russ talked about artists faking streams to get on top of the billboard and to be seen and how that creates real buzz because now people think it's called social proof. Okay. They think, let me just break it down into pieces. Did you guys see the Russ interview where he talked about major labels using streaming farms? And no, I do not use streaming farms. There's accusations out there saying I use streaming bots and streaming farms. Just because I had a conversation with Chad Focus does not mean I got his service. For those detractors out there trying to lie and say I use bots and try to bring down my reputation. First of all, I don't speak about anybody else without facts. So all these other content creators who speak without facts and accuse me of stuff, you better be careful because you're accusing me of criminal things. And no, I don't do those things. I don't buy bots. In fact, to get the YouTube plaque, which is right over there, your channel gets audited. and they have the best technology for searching if somebody has fake traffic. Spotify does not have the best technology for doing that. So Google checked and audited my entire channel and said, this is a legit channel, and gave me my plaque. So for everybody else lying about bots and all this BS you guys make up just to make a point. Okay. So anyway, that was my little aside. So in Russ's conversation with the podcast, he basically said major labels buy streams in order to create what's called social proof. So if people are like sheep, okay, our first defense mechanism is if you see a crowd of people running that way, like even black people have this in our DNA. If we see people running out the mall going the other way in mass, I'm running that way too. I'm not trying to figure out what they're running from. I'm running. Okay. So it's called fight or flight. And a lot of us aren't built with the gene or, whatever the source may be to always want to fight. That's a warrior's brain, always want to fight. How can a man kill another man without having empathy? There's a certain structure to their DNA and who they are that can detach from that. And those are more warriors of society. Those people literally want to take people's heads off. I learned from a Marine. I was like, how does the Marine Corps have so much loyalty to the US? Like, why don't soldiers just like turn on their own government and like take over the world? And they were just like, because these guys they just want to crack heads, and they give them permission to crack heads. And I was like, that's a great answer. Now, that might not be true for everybody. Some people are going for justice. Some people are going to defend their country. So there's all different reasons. But the point is, certain people are built as warriors. Certain people are built as strategists. Certain people are built as nurturers. There's different structures to different personalities. Not everybody's built to be a warrior. My point is, most people are not built to be warriors, to go to war. They're not. Okay. And my point in saying all that is that if you see a crowd running that way, you too are going to run that way. So metaphorically speaking, if you're creating a digital crowd of false numbers that you think are real people and they're running that way, you too will think that way is the way to go. And that's how they direct traffic or attention, by creating falsity. And that's what Russ was talking about. That's called social proof. Now, once you're over there following whatever artist bought fake streams, the more you listen to this artist, the more you see them on all these shows, it validates the fact that you think that's real. So if you see them on talk shows, you're like, wow, this person must be everywhere because I see them on talk shows. They're in my algorithm. Understand that an algorithm is a filtered reality. You don't actually see the stuff that's being posted on Instagram. For example, you probably don't get K-pop stuff in your feed right now. You probably don't get Japanese, what's it called when they eat food? What is that stuff called? Mumbak or something like that. Mukbang. When they eat food. Okay, that's not in your feed. You're not seeing feeds of foreign languages because you wouldn't relate with it. And so my point is, when you go on Instagram, all of it is a filtered reality. So you think somebody's a celebrity because you see them everywhere. It's called exposure bias. So let's think of the mind of a record label. If I can expose the customer to a Doja Cat on the Instagram feed, on Jay Leno, on Jimmy Fallon, on Saturday Night Live, and those are all the things that you do every single day, you will think that person is everywhere, even though they're technically not everywhere. And that's called manufacturing celebrity. And once you see them everywhere, because of what's called exposure bias, you will begin to like them simply by being exposed to them. And it can work the opposite way. You can actually build resistance from too much exposure, the same way your cells in the human body can actually start to resist sugar. And that's what diabetes is. Your cells won't receive sugar. So it gets complicated, but the point is, all this stuff is to sway psychology. Bro, I'm totally new to producing. My idol is Kanye, and I just started piano and music theory lessons. Any advice? Go to busyworksbeats.com/premium, because we have the teachings, the foundation for you there. And we have a lot of free courses. Just go to busyworksbeats.com. Actually, just go to busyworksbeats.com. I finally fixed the link, so you guys go to the actual premium training website. So just go to busyworksbeats.com. You'll be straight. Let me read everybody's chat. I didn't mean it in that way. I worded it wrong. I was meaning how to get artists to hear me. I got you. I was just using you as an example to teach. We're going to get into that today. That's perfect because I'm mixing headphones exactly at Fame. How do I advertise myself? We want to make sure we distinguish the different words between marketing, sales, advertising, and promotion. Those are 4 different things. So when you say, how do I advertise myself? That's a different tier. We're going to get into all this. They purchase what we call promo packets costing $250K. Yeah, I've heard that in order to get a record to really spin, I've heard this from radio executives, from people in the actual industry who can pull levers. it's going to cost at least 150 to get you on the billboard or to get you known nationally. And that's because it costs money. There's when you're competing against advertisers on these platforms, you have to pay what an advertiser would pay for a specific spot, and that's not cheap. And so you're fighting against the deep pockets of Tide, the deep pockets of Verizon, that they have millions and millions of dollars to spend just for their brand to be out there, not even direct sales. And my point in saying all this is that that's why you hear these crazy budgets like 150K to get a record, one song known. It's because you're fighting against deeper pocket corporations that also want to spend money on advertising. Okay, so Vasila says, bro, I'm totally new to producing okay, I read that. So having money makes you famous, and without it, you're just pure luck. I'm just saying that fame is constructed. I'm not saying that money drives everything, because that's not true. Because if money made everybody famous, then we would see the worst artists at the top of the charts. You really have to look at the charts and say, are these artists really that bad? They're actually pretty good. Their quality's good. Rarely do you see terrible people at the top of the charts just because they bought their way through some, nefarious radio hosts. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty. We've talked enough about like the theory of it all, but let's get into what this actually means and what I'm going to be teaching you today. So I wanted to make sure I was getting through those comments. Ivan says, do you have any major placements yet? And I have to give him my way of thinking because it's completely different. Firstly, I've trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some have gone to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Polo G, YG, Ray Shremmerd. I keep forgetting Ray Shremmerd. Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Trippie Redd. There's a long list that I don't even have the entire list, even including corporations in there as well. So when the students that I teach go from not having those things to having those things, part of that is getting their craft together, understanding music production. Another part is maybe I guided them in some certain way. I can't take credit for everybody's success, but I will say my students, more than one, have gone to actually do successful things. Not everybody will get a Drake placement if you take our premium training. Okay, I got to say that as a disclaimer because everybody is just not that good. You got to learn how to be good. And my mindset's different. This is actually a key for this live stream. Middlemen. Okay, so Spotify to me is a middleman. So I'm going to go, if I want to go to my actual customer, why am I going through a platform to talk to my customer when I can just talk to you guys right here, right now? Why would I go through Spotify to get to you if I just want to get to you, if that's the ultimate goal? So I say, okay, what's a Drake placement to Drake? If Drake is the pinnacle of placements, what is a placement to Drake? What does that even mean to Drake? He's trying to work with the brands, the billion-dollar corporations that can make him even richer. Okay, he's trying to work with Adidas, Nike, Sprite, whatever the name of the company is, the betting company, Stake, I think it's called. That's who I'm trying to work with. I'm trying to work with brands and corporations. So I say, why am I following an artist so that the artist could get the song placed in a movie? Why don't I just go directly to the movie and just cut out the artist? Like, why do I need an artist to do that? So I see myself as an artist, as a producer, as a businessman. I don't need the middleman called the artist to do that. And that's a very big mind shift because you're all taught as producers to go chase an artist because the artist has access to all those opportunities. But I'm trying to teach you how to create your own opportunities. You don't need an artist to do all that. Okay, you may need a song, but you don't need an artist to do all that. All right, so ultimately too, here's another mindset shift before we get into the how-to, is people are always saying that content shouldn't be needed to get your music out there. But then they make songs that they want to place in movies, and movies is the ultimate form of content. So ultimately, aren't you trying to get into content anyway? Why not make content, put your music in the content, and then lead people to where you ever want them to go? All right, we need to get into brass tacks, as they say. So let's switch the screen here so you don't have to watch me, my big head here. So we need to talk about traffic. And everybody's going to try to overlook this. And again, this is the key. Again, I want to make a distinguishing point. You're going to hear a lot of people on YouTube talk about Spotify this, Spotify stream that, Spotify that, blah, 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 blah. Before you even get to Spotify, you're put it this way. How do people get to Spotify? You don't just wake up in the morning and just have a divine revelation that says, open Spotify, download Spotify. First of all, you have to download Spotify. Secondly, you have to get on Spotify. And when you're on Spotify, I did this for myself. The hardest part is like, man, I have to find music. So whatever Spotify's built, it wasn't helping me find the music I wanted to find. So I went to social media and started digging. And then once I found content on social media, it drove me to Spotify to search that specific person. From that point, then those searches helped based on their collabs and all that type of stuff to find similar music. And sometimes the radio helped, but not really, as far as adding stuff to a playlist that I listen to. And my whole, lesson here is that I want you guys to understand that there's a step before Spotify. Okay. So if there's 100 million songs on Spotify, okay, and then you have 92, last time I checked, there was 92 million active users on Spotify. That doesn't mean they're active every day, first of all. And secondly, people think that Spotify is a traffic generating source. Okay, so let's step into the mind of a consumer or a producer or an artist, independent artist. You guys think that if you upload your song to Spotify, that the people on Spotify will magically discover you out of their 1 out of 100 million chance of discovering a new song. As I said before, the odds of doing that are 1 in 100 million. You're fighting against the wave. Okay, your probability of that happening is extremely slim. Now, the way you can increase those odds are to be placed in a playlist. Even that doesn't guarantee traffic. And to get into the top playlists that actually have what we call traffic or people's attention, that's where you have to have those label connections, because the labels need to be incentivized to keep their content on that platform for the platform to exist. So the platform offers labels, the top labels, Warner, Sony, Universal, these opportunities to be on their playlist because they want to be ahead of everybody else. Why would they be below everybody else if they're giving their content to basically make a platform live? You want the advantage, and that's their advantage, is they have access to these higher playlists. Independents do not have access to that. No matter how much money you have, you don't have access to that. You're not in the game plan. Okay. And what I'm telling you is not to discourage you, is to say that just because a playlist says they can get you on a playlist does not mean the playlist has traffic. How many YouTube playlists do you go to a day? Like, how many playlists do you go and watch every video on the playlist, and you go through a YouTube playlist about tutorials and watch the whole thing? Rarely any. Okay, because you go to one single thing at a time. And then the next thing is auto-suggested by the YouTube algorithm. That's how most of us consume YouTube, or by the suggested posts. We don't consume YouTube by going to a playlist, hitting play, and just like a robot listening from track 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. That's not what people do. That's not the behavior. And so traffic is like an upside down pyramid. Traffic looks like this. So it starts with the widest. Do I have a picture of a pyramid? I do, but that's not going to help you. So let's redraw a pyramid. I got a playlist every day. Shout out to you. Now, usually playlists are used to discover music. Now, if you're just hitting start on a playlist and you just listen all the way through, maybe you're at work, so you don't have full control. Most people want autonomy. They want control over what they're listening to. Okay. So because too much newness will actually make you not like something. So that's another theory, but I would have to dig up scientific knowledge about that. So here's how traffic works. At the top of what's called this, I'll say like a funnel, a pyramid, whatever you want to call it. It's an upside down triangular shape. Okay. Here's the top of the playlist up here. So first of all, the best place you want to be if you are involved in a playlist of any kind is to be at the top. And that's because all of the traffic by default goes to the top or the beginning of the playlist. Now, if you're song 20, the odds keep getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower that somebody's actually going to listen to your song, even if you're on the top playlist. So let's make a metaphorical playlist here. Let's say that this playlist gets 10 million views a day, and this is a Spotify curated playlist. I don't know their exact numbers, okay? So let's just assume it's 10 million, okay, a day. Now, this does not mean that every song in the playlist, let's say the song is 20 songs. This doesn't mean that every single song gets streamed 10 million times. And this is like a mindset that we have to understand as producers and artists and independents. You have to get this like infinite trajectory idea out of your head. We all think when we start our business, it's just going to go up to the moon and just keep growing at a higher and higher rate every single day. You think it's just going to shoot up to the moon in a straight line. That's not how nature works. Okay. It's not how stocks work. It's not how anything in nature works. Nothing is a straight line. Okay. So in this case, the 10 million is going to get lower. Okay. So by the 10 million views, you're going to get lower. So let's say we start at 10 million, and now by the 10th song, you now have 4 million plays. Okay, so this is by the 10th song. And then by the 20th song, you have 500,000 plays, not even a million. So whoever's at the bottom of this playlist, again, I'm making these numbers up to make it simple. Whoever's at the bottom of this playlist is getting 500,000 views per day on the minimum, assuming that the playlist gets 10 million eyeballs. And what you can do is measure the retention rate from beginning to end. So you say, okay, we started at 10 million, we ended up at 500,000 after 20 songs. If you do the math, what percentage of people stayed all the way to the end? So you divide 500,000 into 10 million. Let me pull up my calculator real quick. So let's do some simple math. I don't know if my calculator can go up to 10 million, but let's try. 500,000 divided by out of 10 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's times 100. So 5% of people, okay, made it all the way to the end. So they have a 5% retention rate. Okay, this is a basic principle about online marketing and online traffic is retention. Retention is about keeping people somewhere. Okay. So these goals of the playlist is to either increase retention or to increase the top line. To increase the top line, that requires marketing budget. That requires bringing in new traffic, advertising. They have to increase the top line traffic. That's a lot harder to do than keeping people on the platform. So what Spotify's goal is to do is remove anybody from this playlist who may hinder this sequence. So for example, if they notice that they replace song 10 with somebody else and they get 2 million plays, and then at the end of this chain, it's only 200,000, they've just lowered their retention rate. So they go back to the cog of the machine that's effing up. They say, okay, song 10's effing up right now. We need to remove song 10 because it's effing up people's retention on here. It's effing up the flow of traffic because they have to deliver traffic to the labels because the labels are basically creating their entire existence as a platform called Spotify. So they have to satisfy their stakeholders, pardon me. I don't know if they have actual stocks and equity in it. It doesn't matter. They're using their content to build up their platform. So they have to satisfy who owns them, basically. And that's why Universal did what they did with TikTok. It's like, look, TikTok wouldn't exist if it weren't for the music making it popular. So all I'm saying is this is how playlists work on the higher level is if your song F's up that ratio of retention, they will remove the song and replace it with somebody else in the signed machine. Most of us as Americans do not have access to that machine, so that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. My lesson to you, though, is that when you guys are going for playlist, what's that top line number? If nobody can give you the top line number for their playlist, then it's BS. And you could assume that, I made these numbers up, but you could assume that however many songs on the playlist, it's going to go down to probably 0.1% by the end of the playlist about people finishing that actual playlist. That's the real numbers, not 5%. That's a really high retention rate. So you can assume, let's say that playlist that you're going for gets even 10,000 views a day. Okay, because this is more average. 10,000 views a day. Now, where are you in the playlist? This is what nobody tells you. You can buy a spot in their playlist, but where are you within the playlist? And they never tell you that either. So these are the questions you should ask people who you're buying playlist spots from, even though that's against Spotify terms and conditions to buy playlist spots outside of Spotify, because Spotify wants to be the monopoly in controlling how you're playlisted, because that is the casino. They want you to think that you could hit the odds of, the 1 in 100 million. So they sell you the dream of, hey, Spotify playlist, we'll get you in front of, X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z. Okay, but that's how it works. That's how the system works. So if your song is effing up the retention, it's going to get removed. To be at the higher parts of these playlists, you're going to have to spend more money because that's how it works. So you're always spending more and more and more. And at the end of the day, as a business person, okay, here's the fundamental principles about all this. If you're spending $1, now how many streams does it take to get $1 on streaming? Somebody help me. How many streams to make $1 on Spotify? Now this is just Spotify. This is not any other platform. If you're short on time, here's a quick answer to your question. It takes between 200 and 400 Spotify streams for an artist to earn $1. So if you spent $1 and you're not getting 200 to 400 streams, you're losing money. And what is the first rule in business and investing? Never lose money. Okay? So if you don't get 400 streams from your $1, which that's a lot of streams for $1, first of all, then you're losing money. And what most people do is they are using their emotions in business, and that is going to collide and it's going to F up your entire business. Business is about logic. It's about a sequence of thought. You can work through a business and see, here is where the business is effing up. Let's fix this. Business is partly gut emotion, meaning gut instinct, but that's not really emotion in my case. That's more of a logical, innate decision-making process that's in your DNA. I don't think that's really based on emotions. However, when we're talking about business, we want to think about logic. Okay, so if you're spending $1, if you're not getting 400 streams, you're losing money on Spotify. Let's start at the very basics. Most people are spending $1 to get 10 streams. Let's just make up a number and say 10, just for example. Now that 10 can be multiplied by 0.003, and that's what you're actually earning. And let's just raise it up a decimal, so 0.03. You just made 3 cents, if I'm doing that math right. Probably not even doing that math right. Let's just say you made 3 cents on the dollar. So you're giving away 97 cents of your dollar for 3 cents. What business transaction would ever go like that? Would you go to the store and spend $10 for one Fruit Loop in the Fruit Loop box? Like, is that enough value for you? No. Okay, so we need to dig deeper as to why we think this. And it's because we're taught that Spotify generates streams. I can tell you on the fundamental level, Spotify's streams and attention comes from elsewhere. You need to drive traffic to Spotify if that's your goal. My goal is not to drive people to Spotify. My goal is to drive people to my website where I can control the customer information, the customer database. I can control the content flow. I can control a lot more. It puts the odds in my favor. Now I'm not 1 in 100 million, where my competitors right over there, somebody could see, oh, Lil Baby's just dropped. Now you didn't get 30 seconds of a stream because they saw the suggested song. Now you're out of a stream because they got distracted by a celebrity. And I make this metaphor a lot. Would you take your girl, for those who have girlfriends out there and you're young, would you take your girl to a room full of NBA players and all-stars and celebrities and actors? Now, a lot of guys would fake confidence and say, yeah, I would take her to a room full of actors and NBA players who would steal your girl in a second. Not that you're afraid to lose your girl. I'm saying that it's built into DNA to go with the man with more resources. It's just built that way. Okay. So if you dumbly bring your mate around a competitor who's trying to interfere with your relationship, okay, and then you purposely put them in front of the competitor to be eaten, metaphorically speaking, is that a smart decision or a bad decision? It's a dumb decision. Okay. So what you guys are doing most of the time is sending your customers to a platform where you have millions of competitors who are trying to eat your customer. Quite literally, because that's how they gain market share. That's why they call them sharks. Sharks are eating the fish. Okay. Let me read your comments real quick before I go in on this next point. They purchase what we call promo packs. Okay, bro, I'm totally new to producing. Cool. So having money makes you famous? Not necessarily. Greetings from Belgium. How can you create momentum for your beats, and which platform do you generally use this for? For this, there's no platform. Get the narrative out your mind that there's BeatStars. Get the narrative out your mind that YouTube will do all the work. Get the narrative out your mind that SoundCloud will do all the work for you. These platforms are not built to do the work for you. These platforms are built to become the home base to attract users back to the platform. The platforms are built to have engagement and transaction between the users of a platform, because the more they transact, if they do take a percentage out of the transaction, that's how they get wealthy. If I take 5% about every transaction that happens in my state, I'm wealthy. Okay. Now, some companies don't take a cut of what you do between the users. They just want you to engage to keep you there, the retention rate that we're talking about. Because if they keep you there, they can serve you ads. So who pays those companies? The advertisers pay the companies. But to keep you there, they have to get you to engage on the platform. And that's a whole science unto itself that Mark Zuckerberg has mastered. That's how they make money, okay? And there's no platform. My point in saying all that is the more users they have, the better, because the more users they have, the more interaction. Let me define the word commerce for you guys right quick. Let me do it right quick. How many people are here, first of all? I feel like, okay, as long as I'm talking to the chosen ones. If you look up the definition for commerce, it's actually social intercourse. That's the actual definition for commerce. Social intercourse. Social effing, okay? How do you, for example, if your wife is living in the West Coast and you're on the East Coast, happening. Now, your mate could be on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast. This is my scenario, so I'm just using me as a scenario. Okay, so that the odds of you guys connecting are 1 in 300 million because it's 300 million Americans, but the odds are even worse because you have travel, distance, and all these other variables. I don't know the exact math, but it's higher than 1 to 300 million. So that's starting default odds. This is you going on to Spotify, uploading a song, and expecting somebody to find you. Now, the next thing is, okay, we found this marketplace of social interaction called Instagram. Okay, Instagram makes a middle ground for those two parties to at least be aware of each other. Okay, now the odds are 1 in however many users on Instagram. So let's see, how many users on Instagram? I don't even know. I think it's in the billions. So our odds, I don't know, again, with the geographic stuff, I'm not sure exactly, the technical odds about that, but it's at least 1 in 300 million. So now the odds have become 1 in 2.4 billion of us crossing paths. Now we have to be, there's more variables to this because, like I said, on your feed, you're not shown stuff about, the Middle East countries because they speak a different language. You're not shown the stuff about Japan. Chances are you're shown a smaller pool of people in your algorithm. So let's just make up a number because I don't know exactly how Instagram works in the back end. Let's just say now the odds have become 1 in 100 million. So now us just joining Instagram have increased the odds of us finding each other. Okay. And now you get smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay. Now I make YouTube videos and this person likes music production. Now I've made the net even smaller. Now it's 1 in 1 million because I only have 1 million followers. Now it's 1 in 1 million. So we went from 1 in 300 million as the odds to 1 in 1 million as the odds. And as you build content and build trust and keep people there, the pool of people gets smaller, like I showed you up here. The retention rate gets smaller. Just because I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube does not mean 1 million people check my videos every single day. Okay. As far as active users, I think we have 100,000, 150,000 to 200,000 active users. So that's what 20% of our following is the retaining audience. So that's 20% retention. So now you have to go through and say, my odds are now 1 in 200,000. So I'm increasing the odds of me finding a wife because I'm creating scenarios to where the odds will be in our favor to find each other. And most people are living in a fantasy land where they don't try to pull the probability into their favor. And they think the universe is going to do everything for them. I do believe the universe has, its sway in things. I mean, there's some things we don't plan, but if we don't try, if I never got a computer, never even thought about the West Coast, never wanted to travel, never wanted to gain new perspectives so I could be open to new people, I would be keeping myself at step 1. And the odds are always against a person who never takes action. Always. By default, the odds are against you. Okay, so I'm just trying to help you guys understand how I think so that you can apply this to get more traffic. But let's get into the how to. All right, how many people are here? I just want to double check. We got 75 people here. If you could like the like button, if you could smash the like button, I would appreciate that. I'm going to read your comments and we're going to get into the nitty gritty, the marketing nitty gritty here. Okay, greetings from Belgium. You can create momentum for your beat. Which platform? I'll get into that in a second. Bro, I'm from Turkey and I don't understand any words you say, but I'm loving watching. Sup, Arrow Beats. Thank you. Hey, do you still have beef with Curtis King? Not that I have beef. I think he definitely tried to smear my reputation, and I think I have the right to defend my reputation. That's what that is. He discredits you, but I learned everything I know from you. Thank you. I love what BusyWorks Beats is doing because there's more than one way to succeed in music, and bro has found his lane and become successful. Congrats, my dude. Thank you. I'm gonna screenshot that one. That's a good one. I'm gonna put you on Instagram. Thank you, Dan Tana. Would I do a songwriter course? I think I actually have one. How hard is it? Just go to busyworksbeats.com. Pardon me. How hard is it to make money in the music production business? It's as hard as hard. Let's define the word hard. What does hard truly mean? What's the difference from, an NFL player throwing a bullet pass to get a touchdown versus a novice who just started training football, doing football training, and they throw a pass, they can barely throw a Hail Mary. Let's just decipher the difference. One is Tom Brady has trained for years and years and years. Tom Brady has played against the world's best players. So you just get sharpened day by day by day dealing with people's psychology on that level. And thirdly, he's physically fit and he trains physically. So that's why he can do all those things. Hard is not hard when you understand the variables. Okay. Hard is only hard when you don't understand a variable. That's it. Nothing's truly hard. It's just you're ignorant of the variables. And once you acknowledge that you're ignorant of a variable that makes something work, you go, okay, let me not be ignorant. Let me learn about it. So it's not hard to make money when you learn how to make money in any business. It doesn't matter whatever the business is. It's all based on supply and demand and about brand psychology at the end of the day. Joe Mama says, Busy Works Beats, great producer and teacher. Learned everything from you. Thank you. I'm going to screenshot that one. Thank you. All right. Big Gucci says he goes to playlist every day, and he says, you're right. I'm at work or the gym. The gym playlist, that's interesting because for me, I need to have my set songs that I know are going to hit. Because if I'm benching, I can't listen to Taylor Swift while I'm benching. I need to listen to the hardest track because I'm going to war with that bench press and I have to push my hardest. So for me, I'm a little more, I keep probably like 5 to 10 songs for the gym because I need to be in that militant mindset in order to make war with those dumbbells and bench presses and all that. How much are we talking about here? How much? What are you talking about? Would you recommend Bandcamp for artists? I wouldn't recommend any platform. There's no one platform. I'm going to show you guys what in a second. I wouldn't bring my girl in a room with celebs. Do you think there will ever be a platform that attracts and promotes while also housing music? Like TikTok, but it also is the home for artists. Here's the ultimate. Here's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I'm getting through, and maybe I need to slow it down a little bit. So tell me if I'm going too fast with this. The goal of a platform is to get the most users possible. Let's just start at the basics. The goal of any platform, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, is to get the most users possible, both content creation users and then consumers. The issue is that when you have everybody on one platform, you have infinite competition. There's 100 million songs on Spotify that you're competing against by default. Now, on your website, you don't have competition. So why would you drive people to somewhere where they get distracted and confused when you can send them directly to your website with no people blocking that? And that's my metaphor that I'm trying to help you guys with. So let's get into the how-to and how the internet works, because I think a lot of y'all are taught fairy tales because people want to sell you on their Spotify services, Spotify course, Spotify playlist, that Spotify, whatever. The internet does not work that linearly. Okay, so firstly, we need to look at who actually runs the internet. Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Meta. They run the internet. Everything else is a derivation of these companies. Okay, so let's start there. Now, when people go on Google, for example, they have an intent. Like I just searched up how many songs are on Spotify. That's my intent. I have a reason why I'm going on Google to find something. So before I even get to Spotify, before I get to the data, before I get to the website that has the scholar articles, I have to have an intent first. And I go through the Google gateway to search that intent. So before I even get to the scholarly article with the data, before I get to the websites, before I get to anything, I go through Google, which means Google is the foundational principle about all the flow. So we need to go all the way back to the beginning to see where this river starts. And this is why I drew a little river going down the hill or down the mountainside. Now, nextly, you might find, whether it's a Google search or YouTube. In this case, I'm using type beats as an example. So somebody goes on Google and says, Yeat type beat. It pulls up the searches. Okay, so let's go through the process. Yeat type beat. Now, their intent, firstly, it starts with intent. How do you get somebody to create intent? That's where, what do they call it? Desire creation comes into play. Okay, this is a deeper science about branding and getting people to do stuff, behavioral science. But before we even get to intent, how do you get people to even search Yeat type beat when Yeat's not even in their vocabulary? This is called suggestive marketing, branding, impressions, advertising. There's a lot of things you could use to get people to even think about Yeat. Okay, but that's beyond you guys' budget. So you would type in Yeat type beat. Let's see what pops up. Okay, YouTube pops up. SoundCloud pops up. So from here, then I go to the YouTube page. So let's click on the YouTube page. And it pulls up a playlist, ironically. It's actually hilarious. So on the playlist, where are you in this playlist? Are you beat number 1? Are you beat number 5? So Blank Beats understands that YouTube values the playlist. So he put his own beats in a playlist called Yeat type beats. So he's beating you already by the fact that he's going beyond one video. And he's keeping people on his playlist at least, and not distracting you by going to one video, which has a suggested video, and then you're on another video. He's like, look, here's 12 Yeat type beats. So if you click on the one, you're going to go through all these until you get to 12. Now the chances of you staying till 12, again, the odds get lower and lower. So as we click this beat, I'm going to mute this tab so it doesn't actually play. So before I even get to his beat website and all the stuff you guys try to market me on, okay, I'm glad we went through this process. So now you can see a real user's experience. So again, we start with intent. We go to Google, we type in Yeat type beat. We find a YouTube search. We click on the YouTube search. We're already presented with a playlist that doesn't really get me to my solution just yet. So this is a step that could deter people away. So this is a vulnerability, is that people are not experiencing your product or your solution right now. They have to now click something else, which lowers the retention rate. By going from a Google search to this point, it took how many steps? We had to search, we had to click YouTube, and now we have to click a YouTube video. That's 3 steps before we even get to the product. Okay, so now on the product, I had to watch an ad. The ad popped up before. So that's 4 things that happen before people get to your thing. There's 4 processes that happen, or 4 steps in the process that happen before they get to your beat. Now they have to listen to your beat. Okay, they might like the video. They might subscribe. Now you also have to have a call to action to tell people to click links in the video description, because a lot of people on mobile don't even check your video descriptions. They don't do that. They check the comments. So make sure that you guys are pinning your comments. If you are on YouTube putting your stuff up, make sure you have a pinned comment with the link, because if you have a new YouTube channel, you can't even put links in your video description yet until you get to a certain point. So the only way to get traffic is for you to pin a comment with the link. That's the only way in the beginning of YouTube. So in this case, the description doesn't even matter. They're going to have to go to your comment. Now I go to the comment. This is the 5th step, assuming that I even heard your call to action. Now, when people put up YouTube beats, they never tell people, hey, click the link below to go to my website. There's no person telling me. There's no text telling me. There's nothing. It just says, watch the next video. It doesn't say, hey, click the link in my comments below. Okay, you have to tell people what to do. They don't know where to go right away. That's why when you go into a department store, they ask you, how may I help you? How can I direct you to where you're trying to go? When you go to a mall, they start with the directory, that thing that shows you all the stores and where you're going. You have to be directed places. You're not going to stumble upon different actions, because look at how many actions we could take on this screen alone. So again, remember, this is the 4th step in the process, is hearing your beat on YouTube. For example, I can click the YouTube homepage. I could search something else. I could search with my voice. I could click over here and upload a YouTube video. I can go to my own channel. I could subscribe. I can go over here to suggested videos in your playlist. I could scroll down. I could go to other people's playlist. There's 17 million things I could do outside of going to your website. And you have to be distinctively telling people, here's the next step. Simplify it. And also on YouTube, when you say, hey, like the video, this thing will highlight on the desktop. It will actually highlight this like button, which will guide people to actually take the next step. So that's why I say, hey, like this video, because on desktop, it will be a little rainbow icon around the like button to tell people to like it. And hey, subscribe to my channel. I think the subscribe button will light up too, if you're on desktop. And once we understand that we're in the game of increasing the odds in our favor, it makes everything more simple. So again, let's go all the way back. So I type in Yeat type beat. I'm 1 in however many people have Yeat type beat in their title. So that's 1 in whatever millions. Okay. If you do make it to the top of Google SEO, I have a call with Crispy today at 3. I almost forgot. Okay. So if you do make it to the top, congrats. You now have mastered SEO to a degree temporarily. So now you go here. Now the odds of them playing your song, you just lowered the odds because now you have a playlist and you have all these distractions. Again, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm saying our goal should be to keep the odds focused on one thing. Okay. One thing. Is the stream good? The odds. Okay. So keep the odds, keep the focus on one thing at a time, because it increases the odds in your favor. Okay. When you have 30 things to do, they get distracted and they do whatever they're going to do by the law of numbers. Now we go to like I said, we go through all those iterations. The 5th step, we finally get to your website, assuming that you did all the good things to guide me here. Now we're distracted with more options. Okay. So this is why fundamentally you guys' businesses aren't flowing. You give people too many options per step. They get distracted. They do other stuff, because our brains are built. When we have too many options, we reject whatever it is and we go do something else. We have decision fatigue for one, because this is the 5th thing we're doing. There's decision fatigue at this point. And then it's harder to create a decision when you have too many options. That's why, like for example, if I go to Xbox Series, I don't know the difference between Xbox Series X yet or S. I don't even know the difference. So if I see Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox 360, Xbox One, I go, this is too many things to try to figure out what's what. Like, give me the answer. It's too many things to research, and it takes up too much brain power. And then people make what's called a glucose decision. We make an energy decision because it costs our brain resources to make decisions. So people have to constantly make decision after decision after decision. They're using real resources in their brain for something they may or may not get. So it's our duty to make it as simple as possible. How do we go from here to there in the shortest amount of time, shortest amount of steps, reduce redundancy? How do we get rid of distractions? How do we increase the odds in our favor? Because that will help the customer make a decision. It's a lot easier to say, hey, do you want the Xbox X that comes with 250 gigs? Or do you want the Xbox S Plus that comes with 2 terabytes? It's 2 options, Republican, Democrat. Okay, it's very easy to make a decision. Up, down, you're left, right. You're not going, hey, do I want to go 30 degrees left or 32 degrees left? It's not that calculated. Now you have to say, what's the difference between 30 and 32 degrees left? What's the outcome of that? Your brain has to do too much work. And this is why fundamentally you guys aren't seeing the results. It's because you're giving people too many options and there's too many steps to get them to do what you want them to do. Now, even here, I have to go to your site. This is the 6th step. There's too many steps. Okay, I have to now listen to this again or add it to my cart or even understand what this even means, because there's nothing that says add to my cart. It just says a shopping cart and then $29.96. So I assume it's what I think it is. So now I've added it to my cart. Now I have to make another decision with 17 different options. This is why I'm not using, sorry, Blank Beats. You're just an example, but hopefully I'm helping you too. But this is a reason why people aren't doing enough business is there's too many decisions to make. I typed in Yeet Type Beat. I just want to go to Yeet Type Beat. Go to YouTube. I see 1,000 suggested videos on YouTube. Then you forgot to do the call to action. So now I don't even know where to go next. So now I have to figure out, the link's in the comments. Okay, that's the 3rd decision or 4th decision. And then we go to the website. We have okay, and now I got to figure out which beat is the actual beat. It's 5th decision. Now I get the 6th decision is figuring out what license I want. And now I have to go through your terms and figure out what the license even means, what that means to my career. That's another research step. If you're not guiding people through all these steps, they will become confused. This is the 6th decision they have to make. And we're going to have what's called decision fatigue before we even get to purchase this thing. So let's go to the 50 and let's see what happens. Now I have to make a 7th decision. Proceed to the cart. There's too many steps. Now I have to make an 8th decision. Click proceed. This is so many steps to get to a simple sale. So every step lowers the rate, lowers that, the odds of somebody doing business. It lowers the retention rate. The bounce rate is very real. Okay. So you put numbers in your favor by reducing stuff to simplicity. You want to buy this beat? Here's the actual checkout page. Here's not my whole player that has other stuff that you can get distracted with. Here's the checkout page. Here's 2 options. Make it simple. Okay. That's why you guys aren't seeing enough success, especially when you're just uploading beats to YouTube. There's too many variables. There's too many distractions. Okay. So that's just the beat approach. Now we're talking about art. We're talking to artists too. So I don't want to make this all about beats. Let me answer your questions before I move to the next phase of what I'm talking about here. You're right. I'm working at the gym. So anytime I tell you guys to go to busyworksbeats.com, let's look at what happens. You type in BusyWorks. Let's just type in BusyWorks Beats. Okay. What happens here? So you go to busyworksbeats.com. First result. Boom. You're like, okay, here's the guy I keep hearing about, BusyWorks Beats. Oh, here's his YouTube. Here's Instagram. You could verify me and make sure that's me. Great. You go to busyworksbeats.com. You click on here. So that's the first step is searching BusyWorks Beats. Second step is going to the actual website. So we're on 2 steps right now. So I make it very clear. Master music production. Learn how to make beats like the pros. We've trained over 1 million producers around the world. So we're going to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, YG, Polo G, Lil Baby, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar. It's a long list of artists they've worked with. And at the very bottom, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it says, hey, if I take your courses while I work with Drake, and I said I cannot guarantee any placements or any success or any outcomes except that you will learn how to master your craft of music production. What you do with this knowledge is up to you and your desire. We have students, and I go about how my students go about success. And I said, I have never and will never promise any success in the music industry. If you apply the knowledge, you will grow in your craft and in your business, because I have business courses too. And I said at the very bottom too, I'll miss the sentence. However, I cannot guarantee any major music industry placements, and that's for anybody in life. Nobody can guarantee a placement unless they are the artist or the manager or facilitator of the artist themselves. So anyway, this is the second step. So you say, okay, free trial. I click here. Let me go to incognito. So this is a little more accurate. I'm already logged in. So here's the third step. Now I'm explaining what's inside the product. Okay, now I do distract you with more stuff to click on. So that's could be a flaw, but in reality, that's part of the sales page. Okay, so you go, okay, I get a free trial, 14-day free trial. It's $49 after that. You hit purchase. Now we're at the fourth step. Now you get to the credit card information. 4 steps. The other person had 10 steps. This is 4. Okay, I just want to make it very clear why you guys aren't seeing success. So even though somebody may have bounced off this web page or may have bounced on the next page or the page before this, at least it's 4 steps. It's 6 steps lower in redundancy than somebody else. And that's why we've increased the odds. And that's why we only almost have 100,000 new users on our premium. So if you go to busyworksbeats.com, there's 100,000 people on there for a reason. They want to master music production. And that's what we train. And that's our promise. So hopefully you guys are starting to understand what I'm talking about when it comes to creating favor for yourself by at least putting the numbers in your favor. Let me read your comments real quick. How much are we talking about? I don't know what you mean there. Do you think there will ever be a platform that attracts and promotes also housing music? Again, 5EVER. The problem with that is that in order for that to work, you have to have users and content creators and consumers in the same place, which means you're increasing competition, the supply, and you're either hopefully you're balancing that with demand. But most of the time, you're increasing the supply higher than the demand. The goal of business, though, is to have, you don't want competitors, so there's lower supply and the demand is high. You don't ever want to really match supply and demand, because now you're just getting into everybody gets a shake and everybody gets the same wage, and you want to stand out from the bunch. You don't want to have to compete just to get the same wage as everybody else. And that's what I'm trying to teach you guys. What are those gym songs? I actually have a playlist on my YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/busyworksbeats. I didn't eat today, so my stomach is like a rumbly. So if I get too hungry, I might have to get off the stream. But if you go to my playlist, on my playlist tab, go down to where, let me just scroll down real quick. I have a playlist called Streaming Hip Hop. And those are the songs I actually listen to. Streaming Hip Hop, here we go. So here's the songs I listen to. I don't think I muted this tab. Hold up. Mute. Yeah, I did. All right, so this is King Kong by La Russell. That was a cool song. Not on my hard playlist, but this is on my hip hop playlist. I have another playlist for like hard beats. That's, I don't even know where. Oh, it's on my downloads on my YouTube app. So it's not listed here, but these are the songs I listen to kind of go to the gym. Okay, so that's that playlist. Use your own website. Salters says, so the audience needs to be directed. Yes, sheep need to know where the farm is. You need to be a shepherd. You need to guide the sheep to the farm. Sheep are just going to go out in the woods and do whatever they're going to do. You need to guide them. It's like hunting. You need to guide them to where you want them to be. Look up what SEO means, search engine optimization. Thank you very much for the explanation. I appreciate you doing this, and I've learned a lot from you. Thank you, Will. Search engine optimization. Yes. The live I needed today. Thank you, Lemuel. Couldn't be more grateful for someone like you. Thank you, Maxie. That kid, Raheem, says, yo, guys, I just dropped a song. I hope you check it out. Well, Raheem, I hate to tell you, there's no benefit for us to go check it out. Not that we don't want to hear your song. It's just there's no reason for somebody to want to check it out. So we have to give them either an incentive to check it out, or we have to suggest it through different persuasion techniques like content, like showing up, like giving value. You haven't given value to expect value in return. You know, if I never put $1 in the stock market, why am I expecting $10 from the stock market? I've never even put $1 in. So metaphorically, you never put anything into a social stock market. You've never put content out, favors, services. Why should they reward you? Okay, we need to get out of this narcissistic, I'm the only one that exists mindset, because that's what it is. And that's why you're stuck. And I'm not saying nobody, we all have forms of what's called the dark triad. I don't want to ever demonize people. My point is we need to get over that hurdle so that we can get to the next level. To level up spiritually, biblically, we have to overcome different behaviors, I guess, that are rooted in the physical carnal body, they call it, the animal body. And we have to adapt more spiritual things, virtues, they're called. When you adapt more virtues, you become lighter and more detached from physical reality. Therefore, you're letting stuff flow more and you're aligned with more intent of the creator. And that's why you get more flow. I can't pour a swimming pool's worth of water into a kitchen sink because the drain is this small. It will flood and the whole kitchen floor will get messed up. In order for me to pull a pool's worth of water into a sink, the drain has to be massive. My point is you have to stretch and be more flowy to let the universe flow through you. That is esoteric. It's not an exact science, but you definitely have to get over this trying to force people to do what you want and not doing anything for them. That's not going to work. Produced by Maxi says, a question about posting type beats. Is it better to stick to one artist, one style of beats, or the best shot at the algorithm? There's a few styles I like to make. Don't listen to people telling you to make one type of beat. It may have worked for them, but please don't do that. And I went over this in the last live stream about how to sell beats. If you go on Google Trends, for example, what type of beat do you sell? Produced by Maxi. Let's just do a little baby type beat. Here's the reason why you don't do that. Because traffic is jumpy. It's not consistent. And so the number one rule in internet marketing is always go for the consistent keywords, the consistent things that aren't just trends. Trends are just your ways of getting quick little boosts here and there. It's kind of like using a perk in Call of Duty, like when you or pick up a power up in like other video games where you have like Halo, for example, when you have the camouflage, you're like, okay, nobody can see me. Now I have an advantage. That's what trends are. They're just quick little advantages. But the thing about the camouflage is that it wears off after a certain amount of time. You can't just be camouflaged the entire game unless the settings are built that way. You pick up a camo, it fades, and then you're not camo anymore. And that's what a trend is. You don't want to be a trend. You don't want to be the pickup called camo. Because once the camo fades, so does your traffic. And then now you have nobody checking out your website. So the goal is get as many type beats as possible so that when this spike goes to zero, somebody else's spike is going to be up. So that's the goal. Spread across all the major keywords so that you can bring in traffic even when this traffic may be down for a certain amount of time. Because this traffic, I could probably correlate it to when Lil Baby released a project or a song. And this is by the day. So let's go by the 30 days. I just realized that was by the day. So let's go by like the last 90 days. As you can see, it's very spiky. It's like hit or miss. Like, is a Lil Baby popping type beat or is it not popping? People, and the reason it's popping is because people are suggested Lil Baby. They're influenced by Lil Baby to want to be like him. It's the hero journey. That's what story means, is to create a hero out of your character. So when he's dropping an album, an artist who's independent wants to go, I want to be like Lil Baby. Then they search up Lil Baby type beat. But if they don't have that influence to be creating what's through a suggestion to create intent, then they're not going to be looking up Lil Baby type beat. So you're heavily reliant on if Lil Baby drops and influences somebody else to look up Lil Baby type beat. And that's not a game you want to be in. So my point is, you don't want to go after one artist, one keyword. That is a very dumb way to go about it. Somehow musicians had a little bit more ego than other creators. I think they really think the universe is just like, I don't think it's that they're selfish. I think it's just that artists, for some reason, think that they deserve something. And maybe it's let me see how many people are here. All right, I'm going to go deep. We're going to go MG, the future deep. If you guys go to etymology, this is the root of a word and what it means. Go look up the word deserve. Everybody thinks deserve means, some magical entity will bless me because I deserve it. I deserve to whatever. Okay, they think it's like this magical thing. Look up the word deserve. It means to merit, to be worthy of for qualities or actions. Deserve, be worthy of, earn. Okay, you have to earn your merit. Earn merit. That's what deserve means. It is not just this magical bank balance. Nobody's just going to go into your bank account and just deposit $100,000. You have to deserve $100,000 by serving other people, solving their problems, trading with them. You have to deserve it. It means you have to earn it through actions and through service and through products. It's not just magically given to you. Okay, so you have to earn it. That's what deserve means, to earn. And I think people think they deserve traffic. They deserve somebody to listen to their song. They haven't earned that. They haven't earned my trust, my attention, or earned my even caring of who they are, what they are as an artist. And that's the problem that a lot of artists face, is that fundamental mindset of the word deserve. I'm a real teacher, so I'm going to get to the root of, the actual issue. I'm not going to give you guys fluff. Talking about Spotify, just get on a playlist and pay the Spotify playlist bot. Not bot, but like the Spotify playlist services. Oh, Spotify artists, whatever it's called. Spotify for artists. They're just going to put you on a playlist to put you in front of other people who are your competitors. What sense does that make? It has helped me from day one. And again, if you're not making a positive ROI, what is the point of pushing music? You're losing money doing that. Has helped me from day one. So much talent and information I've gained watching you. Big shout out from Angel in Bakersfield, Cali. Thank you, Angel. Appreciate that. We're not beat making this live stream, but I'll be beat making today because Count just dropped. He's going to drop today his volume 6 of Count drums. If you guys don't know, he makes the hardest drum kits. Count, Count, Count. You want to go for multiple artists, but don't spam them. Just put all the trending artists. I just recently changed my tech channel that had 8K to an Ableton tutorial channel. Any suggestions? Let me see your channel real quick. So we're just taking quick comments before I move to the next step. All right, I'm subscribing. So firstly, I subscribe to anybody who has tutorial stuff, like anybody. I don't care how many subscribers. If you have 20 or if you have 50,000, I don't care. I always subscribe to people who have content, not people who upload beats, people who have content and they're trying to help people. I always subscribe. They could have 2 subscribers and I'm like, they could have 1 subscriber and I'll be like, I'm the second one. And I'll leave a comment to let them know. A lot of guys, I don't leave comments, but I remember doing that for like somebody who had 1 subscriber, but they had tutorials on their channel. I was like, this is the energy we need. People trying to help people, not people trying to just promote their stuff all the time. We need content. Again, to break the mindset about content, because I know artists are like, why do I have to do TikTok? Why do I have to do YouTube? Why do I have to do Instagram? Well, 1, because that's where traffic comes from. So if you want traffic to your music, you have to get it from somewhere. And secondly, because if you're making music to go on a platform and your dream is to get a sync placement, what is sync placement? It's putting your music in content. So ultimately, isn't content what we're trying to do? It's basic logic like that. Anyhow, let me see your channel real quick. You switch from, what'd you say you switch from? Tech channel? Let's see. Do you still have tech stuff on here? Tech stuff is cool. That'll show people that you changed gears. I wouldn't take down the tech stuff. That would be a bad idea to take it down because people need to know where you started. So don't take that stuff down. Don't delete it. The type beat is a little random. I will say that. It's too much of a mix. So I probably wouldn't do type beats because it's 3 different audiences. You have people looking for iPhone stuff. Let me see your popular video. How to fix audio. So that's your top video. So that's your key from the universe. Hey, maybe you should focus on audio and sound. Disable apps on the iPhone. So people come here for like quick tech stuff. They're not music fans. Okay, so you can gain some traffic from that. That's not going to mess up your algorithm because Ableton is considered a tech software. So it's software. But when you put type beats, that's considered entertainment and music. And you have 3 different audiences. You have producers coming here for production tips. You have artists potentially coming here to listen to your beats. And then you have the mainstream folks who are coming here for different information. It can get a little confusing. I would test it though. Before I even give you a do this, do that, test your thumbnails first. I think the greatest lever you will have next is your thumbnails. Because right now you're not saturating your thumbnails enough. Like for example, let me show you guys how to market and how to get traffic. So this is real deal how to do this stuff. YouTube thumbnail grabber. So let me take a thumbnail that could be better, like this one right here. Let's copy that link. I'm gonna show you quickly how to make it better. If you have Photoshop, if you don't have Photoshop, you could use Photo P, P-E-A. So let's save this real quick. So your thumbnail ratio is good. It just needs more popping color. Let's call this color. And let's open up Photoshop. But in the meantime, let me just tell you quickly. People like our skin a little more orange. I don't know what it is about YouTube, but they like really fake colored skin. I don't know why. Maybe because of Trump. I don't know. And then we want higher contrast. I'm going to show you a technique to where you see these like jagged lines around you. I'm going to show you a technique where you can get these smoother. Okay. And this is part of today's thing, is how to get more streams. To get a stream, you have to get somebody to click on your video if you make content. So I'm showing you guys real deal how to get people to click on more stuff. The first thing people see is a thumbnail and a title. This is called My Favorite Ableton Live 12 feature. Nobody knows your name, SoundSwap, yet. Or excuse me, I don't know what sound. Oh, never mind. It's called SoundSwap. My fault. Disregard what I just said. But they don't know who you are, so the my doesn't add value. Now, if you were Mr. Beast and you said my favorite, whatever, it would have value because his name is the value. So saying My Favorite Ableton Live 12 isn't adding any value because that's just like, who are you? You know, why would I care that it's your favorite? So I would say maybe if it's a secret feature people don't know about, or a lot of people don't know about, secret Ableton Live feature, and then say the benefit. Or Ableton Live 12 feature nobody talks about, or Ableton Live 12 feature changes the game, or Ableton Live 12 feature makes you make beats faster. You have to say what the benefit is in the title, because the my doesn't really add value there. Okay, so let me show you real quick how to make your thumbnail a little bit better. So firstly, it's saturation. So even if you don't know a lot about Photoshop, fine. Saturation will help. So let's first just drag it in. Let me make this not full screen. Give me a second, y'all. Who here uses Photoshop for their thumbnails if you do content? Whether that's type beats or whether that's YouTube videos. Let me see. Okay. My head might be in the way. Freak, my head's in the way, I think. Let me turn my face cam off real quick. You got Photoshop? Dope. So down here in the bottom, there's these little icons. We're going to click this, go to hue and saturation. We're just going to bump this up until basically you turn orange. Like, it depends. Everybody's skin tone is a little bit different. So basically until you turn orange. And then what we could do with the saturation is grab this little hand tool and zoom in where it's a little too orange and just pull it in a little bit, just so it's a little more natural. It takes away some of the reds. Now also, there's something about YouTube, they like smoothness. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab our object. And again, I'm not the master of like Photoshop. What I'm going to do though is show you how to make better like cutouts. So what we're going to do is select you, and then we're going to go to where it says select up top, go to modify, and we're going to smooth this out. So anytime you have jagged edges, I like to smooth it out. Now, because you have a ring around you, I have to make this smoother, like a higher level. So I'm going to do 50 pixels. And let me see. You already have like a border around you. Let me just show you what I would do to myself, actually. Let me just use me as an example. Hold on, y'all. I got to switch cams. Give me 3 seconds, y'all. I got to open up Photo Booth. All right, so let me drag myself in here just to give you an example. All right, I'm going to pick one where my skin isn't the greatest either. All right, like the color, I mean. Okay, here we go. So let me show you the full process. Switch screens. All right, so here's my So also people like to look at faces that have a reaction of some sort. You don't have to be this exaggerated, this hyperbolic with your facial expression, but I have noticed that people tend to respond to expressions because again, their brain's reading the picture real quick. You know, if I'm going to your thumbnail and I'm reading this, I see you have an expression. You're like, oh, this is fire, like that. So I go, okay, am I going to feel that too? That's what I want to feel as a watcher, as a viewer. The goal of entertainment is to get people to feel. The same with music is to get people to feel something so they move. And so when you give them a suggestion on how they can emote, they tend to emote like what you show in the thumbnail. So when I have a picture, I'll go to the bottom and make sure that it's not a smart image. So if you're on a smart image, you would go here and convert to layers. That makes it a regular image like this. And then go to quick actions, remove background. That will do half the work for you. As you can see, my arm's kind of like messed up and wobbly. Okay. So now I'm going to click on me. I'm actually going to right click and make this a flattened image, or excuse me, not a flattened image, my bad. We're going to, what is it called? Let me find the actual word for it. I'm not, rasterize or something like this. Rasterize layer. It won't let me do. Oh, it's not even, okay, never mind. Forget what I just said. So I'm going to hit Control. Actually, it was converted. I forgot I said, my fault. Converted to a smart image, and then we're going to rasterize the layer. So now we have just me. Or we could leave it as a smart image. It's probably better. I'm not a Photoshop master. Max Novak could do a lot cooler and a lot better. So now that I have me cut out, you can see there's jagged edges around the edge right here. And my arm's all wobbly looking, and there's stuff behind my headphones. You could manually do this. I'm not going to be tedious. And there's a wire missing right here. So firstly, we're going to go to where it says select, and we're going to hit Control and left click the image so that it selects our object. And I'm going to go to select, modify, and smooth this out. I usually do 10 pixels. It's smooth enough. And now what we have to do is duplicate this, hitting Control J. So now if you see a before and after, let me see here. So here's before. Okay, you see all the jaggedness. And then here's after. It's a little bit smoother. I could probably do 20 pixels or whatever to be a little bit more smooth, but it smooths out the edges. So now when you do that cutout feature that you're doing, that stroke effect, now it's a little bit more smoother of a line. It's not so jagged. So that will help your thumbnails too. I know that probably wasn't the smoothest thumbnail tutorial, but that's how I do it. Okay, so that your lines won't look like this like jittery line. Okay, so that's a tip that can help you get to the next level. Also, saturation on your picture. I can't cut your picture out because it takes too many steps, but that's what I would do to your picture. Also, I would highlight the subject in this case and separate it from the background. So here's another technique I use. I'm going to highlight you using this selector over here by going to go to Object Selection Tool, highlight you, and then I'm going to hit Control J to duplicate it. So now you're by yourself here, and that's good because now we can right click and convert you to a smart image, and we could use what's called filters. So let's go to filters. Let's do camera raw filter, and we're going to smooth out the coloration. So let's go to where it says, I think it's detail. Okay, it's going to show you the before saturation. So there's something called noise reduction, which will smooth out skin and make you look a little more cartoony, but that's the YouTube kind of thing to do right now. And color noise smooths out the tones. So you could do one or both. Okay, so now you're more cartoony looking, which is good for YouTube. I don't know why they like it. They just like it that way. Okay, and I still think there could be more saturation. So what I'm going to do is add another saturation layer, grab this hand tool, and pull up this saturation on this green a little bit. Now it looks like it's maxed out. I guess it's maxed out. It could use a little more overall saturation. So the next step though is to add brightness and contrast. So our brain, the way our brain works quite literally. Am I losing people on this live? I want to make sure everybody's still watching. Okay, they're watching. So our brain works off of differences. If everything is the same, we can't identify it with our brain. So the more contrast, the better. So when we add contrast, we're helping the brain make a decision. And here's when I start to zoom out from the thumbnail so that I can actually see from a far distance. What would somebody see on a mobile phone or the thumbnail? And this is where I go, okay, maybe you could be a little more zoomed in because all I see is your mouth and your hand at this point. So I would go, okay, how do we make him bigger? I would hit Control T and then make your face a little bit bigger like this. Now this is too big. Okay, but I'll put you a little bit closer to the camera like this and then size it down just a little bit. And maybe take the hand out or do a different, like take the hand out some type of way because the hand's taking up the entire picture. Or, you know, we could just mask that for now by doing a quick little, let's just do this. So I'm just going to get rid of your hand. So this is what it would look like, roughly speaking. Now, again, you're in the background, so you see like more skin than there should be in the background. Okay, so it would be just your face and then that. So when I zoom out, I see your whole face, even when it's small. Okay, so that I can see expression. Very important. Okay, from this point, we're going to add more contrast. And then the last thing you could do is highlight everything, hit Shift, Control G to group it, hit Control J, and then right click and make this a smart object and turn off the back layer. Again, there's still stuff I would do to it. I just want to spend time doing thumbnails right now. And like there's you in the background still, but we would go to filter, camera raw filter, and something that also helps contrast is called the vignette. Okay, so we're going to go to effects and then go to vignette and pull this to the left. Now this is good for background stuff. So I wouldn't do this with your face on top. I would do it with the background stuff. So I should probably do it in order so that you're not confused. Let me redo this so that you understand what I'm talking about. And then we'll do a before and after, and we'll have people vote in the chat which thumbnail is better. How about that? So let me just grab a picture of Ableton Live. Ableton Live. All right. So I'm assuming you took something offline like this picture here. All right. And keep in mind, for those who are like not sure about these thumbnails, I've consulted with Daryl Eves, who consults Mr. Beast. He taught me this back in 2018. He taught me a lot of this. All right, so I'm just giving you guys what I've learned. Okay, so let me redo the thumbnail so that it looks the way I'm trying to show you. All right, let's do this. Ableton Live, let's put that in the background. Usually the colorful parts grab people's eyes. So we're only gonna use that colorful part. And then we need to do a better mask here. I just kind of was quickly doing that. Let's do a selection tool. Let's select you, mask the rest. Okay. Sound swap. Again, this is a lot of text. So I would probably put something reactionary here. Instead of sound swap, it is lit in live, or sound swap is lit in live. I would actually get rid of that because it's eating up a lot of space. And also when YouTube thinks you're trying to advertise to a thumbnail, they tend to rank it lower. I don't know what it is about that. Let's go to the next. So I'm quickly doing it. Whoops. I'm trying to grab your thing. Okay. So I guess y'all get a crash course on thumbnails. So I would remove that and I would add an emotive phrase. This is just my style. You don't have to copy this, but you do want to fill in that space. Okay. Now, if you're going to do the half and half, usually it's good to do a before and after. And also you want to download what are called assets. So something that always works, and you guys can try this at home, is when you're scrolling down YouTube, just scroll really fast and see what grabs your eye. So most of the time it's going to be an arrow that grabs your eye. Again, our brains are built to discern, change and contrast. Okay. To make it simple. So arrows tend to have all the features that we need to quickly guide our eye. It's the object form of a call to action, basically. Okay, so let's flip this vertically. And we're going to add a color on top of this so it's not red. Let's do color overlay. Let's make this like a contrasting color. Also, you want to study contrast colors. What's the contrast of this lime color? You guys could go online. Let me just quickly do it. Grab this color. What color is this here? We're going to grab this thing, double click, get the hex code, copy it, go over here. Let's go back to the internet. Then we're going to look up contrast color checker or whatever. I don't know the proper term for it. All right, we're going to type in the hex code of our color, and then we're going to get the contrast color. Is this website going to give us the contrast? Where's the contrast? That's not what I'm looking for. Color picker, maybe. All right, give me a second, y'all. This is impromptu. I don't want cookies. I'm full. Reject your cookies. I don't want your cookies. Okay, we're gonna paste this. So it says that this color, it says background color, but whatever. We're just gonna assume that's contrast color. We're not gonna spend 1,000 years trying to figure this out. Okay, so now we're gonna go over to the arrow and then overlay that color over the arrow so it has contrast. The key is difference. So we're gonna paste that over top. It needs a little more contrast from the background, so that's where drop shadows come into play. And also strokes that add an outline to something. I don't know why this looks highlighted. I don't have time to figure it out. It must be a glitch. But anyhow, so now we can point to 12 or point to some type of phrase. And let's point to a text saying like, this is wild, or this is lit, something like that. This is lit. Also, italicized text grabs the ear or grabs the eye because it is, again, contorted so that it creates contrast. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger. We spent a little too much time on this video, but this segment, I should say. Okay, but let's pull this. Now, usually I've found that when you have an arrow coming from your eye, it tends to work better because we're guiding people from looking as if you're looking at whatever the thing is. And then I usually separate the text so it looks different. Maybe with like a little thing behind it. Now, again, I'm not an expert at Photoshop, so I want to say that. I might put something behind it like that so that it's shown as something different. And also, if you guys have pets, you'll know this as a pet. When a pet's confused, they turn their head. So the way you can create curiosity in your thumbnails is to slightly tilt something, just a little bit, so that it forces somebody to turn their head. And when they turn their head, they're more intrigued. You have a higher retention rate. Okay, because it digs into the curiosity element. Okay, so now we can go through. So this still doesn't really demonstrate what the feature is. I would probably have a picture of what the feature actually is. It would be a little more clear because this just looks like Ableton Live is lit, but we don't have time to really go through the nitty gritty. So let's export this, and then we'll have the chat do a quick poll about which thumbnail stands out a little bit more. All right, so let's do this, export. And let's do desktop thumbnail. All right. Oh, Dan Tana says, thank you for the tips, bro. Your time is much appreciated. Thank you, Dan Tana. I didn't expect anything. You were just helping me teach the next lesson, so I appreciate you. Thank you for that. All right, so let's do a before and after, guys. You guys can vote in the YouTube poll, and I'm going to make them smaller. How do I make this smaller? There we go. We're going to put them side by side. So the one on the right is going to be B or 2, and then the one on the left is going to be number 1. So I'm going to put up a poll in a second. Just give me a second to make this the same size-ish. Okay. So let's do a quick poll. Which thumbnail stands out more? 1 or 2? 1 on the left. Hold up. 1 left, 2 right. All right, now they can be honest. Maybe the one on the left looks cooler. Who knows? We'll see. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do the vignette. Actually, don't vote yet. I forgot one thing. My fault. I forgot to show you the whole vignette thing. That was the whole point of me going backwards. My fault. Forgot one major thing. So one major thing we need to still do is the vignette. So we need to group these together. Let's group that. We need to group the background, basically. That looks like the background. Let's group this, turn it into a smart image, and we need to add the filter camera raw effect. My fault, I forgot the one major thing. And then add the vignette to it. So this creates, I don't know why it's glowing. I don't know if that's a glitch or what. It's probably too much vignette. Let's reduce it a little bit. Vignette, let's pull it like 50%. So it just adds that contrast on the edges. Again, if it shows up highlighted like that, I think that's a glitch though. All right, so this is the YouTube look. Okay, let's call this thumbnail 2. All right, so I forgot the whole major point of doing all that was to show you the vignette. I completely forgot to show the vignette. All right, that was the point, my fault. Okay, let's do this vote again. My fault, I forgot one thing. All right, so which one looks more YouTube-y? We'll do a poll. All right, so you guys can vote. No trolling, please. You can troll if you want. Which thumbnail stands out more? Okay, 1 on the left, 2 on the right. All right, now we're gonna let the YouTube chat vote, and then we're gonna gear up the next lesson for today's live stream. And I'm gonna be reading the chat from my phone, so let me go back in the chat real quick. So again, why are we doing this? Because the first thing people see, or one of the first things people see, whatever the grammar would be, is your thumbnail. I didn't realize the poll was blocking the whole picture the whole time. Now, again, I don't know why this stuff's like highlighted. I have to figure out why that's highlighted like that. What up, Channel Forbes? So I'm gonna read the chat real quick. A higher contrast, bigger face style does work. Do you know Ragasaur from YouTube? I don't. Would you have any tips on how to make connections with smaller artists and other producers, or how to successfully sell your airs to artists? You guys got to build a relationship. What is commerce? Go back to the definition of commerce that I said earlier. Commerce is social intercourse. It's literally the definition for commerce. So in order to get money, you have to have social intercourse. What is social intercourse? Let's talk about real intercourse. Okay. In order to get to that level, you have to meet somebody for 1. Okay. They have to build trust with you for 2. That's what dating's for. Okay. 3 is understanding you and understanding your values, and that they still have the desire to even mate with you. Okay. That's 3. So in order to get to the intercourse part, you have to do all these other steps beforehand. And this is what everybody skips. Commerce is social intercourse. So quite literally, if you want money, you have to interact and get to a trust level with people. How do you do that? Easily with content. I've learned more about people through their content than them like posting pictures. Okay. It's just something about people's content that you begin to understand them and their style. So start with content, build a relationship with your audience. They'll trust you, and then you could ask for money in exchange for whatever you're offering. But until you get to the point of trust, you're not going to get to the end goal. My most recent videos show this example well, in my opinion. Music Tech says, hey, I love your channel and the guidance you give. I help musicians on my channel to understand AI tools and music NFTs. A sub would be greatly appreciated. Okay, dope. Let's see what this poll says. Okay, 89% said the one on the right. Even though I made some mistakes and I didn't get it 100% right, they said the picture on the right was a little more YouTuber friendly. Okay, so all you got to do to get literally the poll just showed you 89% of the people. So if you want, what's the math? 67% more traffic, just start focusing on your thumbnails and that'll get you to where you're trying to go. And again, I hacked this together. It could be a lot better. I just didn't have time. Okay, so those are the keys that I found. All right, so let me turn my cam back on. Let's be back in business. I'm getting a little tired, y'all. To be honest, I need some energy from y'all. Hit the like button. Give me some juice. All right, let's find Music Tech because I want to subscribe to anybody giving advice. Music Tech, where you at? Music Tech. Where'd it go? Music Tech. Hopefully you guys had a good Valentine's Day. I spent the time with my beautiful fiance. She went all the way in. We had a really good time. Where is Music Tech? I can't see your comment for some reason. Where'd it go? It's not showing on my desktop. That's weird. Let me just type it in. Music Tech Info. Let's find you on YouTube. Music Tech Info. I'm already subscribed. So shout out to Music Tech Info. Like I said, I subscribe to everybody and anybody who puts out content. I was already subscribed. So shout out to you. We need you to produce more. 4 weeks ago, I would have forgot about you 4 weeks ago. Produce every day. Even if it's stuff that's repetitive, you got to produce every day. And let me see your quality real quick, Music Tech. So Music Tech, you got to work on these thumbnails. They're too dark and like it's too much text and it's too dark. We need your face a lot closer. That's why this one has 372 views because your face is a lot closer, in my opinion. Let me see your best videos real quick. These are probably keyword based, so people just click because it was keyword searches, but stuff is very dark. And I would do like 3 reaction faces and just use those same pictures every single time instead of doing a new picture every single thumbnail. That way you don't have to cut, you can just have like a template. What was I doing? I forgot. Oh, going to your videos. Okay.
If you're a business owner.
Never mind. It's an ad. Forget it. See how the ad made me click off? Just like that. Somebody could click off your video just because an ad popped up. So that's what I mean. Okay. So so you don't seem to be a fan of funnels? I like funnels. I think everything is a funnel. It's just some sites are specifically built to be a funnel and some are more abstract. But I think everything's a funnel, quite literally, even including our government is a funnel. Excuse me. It starts with the top of the pyramid. You have higher officials. You go to the next layer of the pyramid. You have lesser officials, local officials. Then you have everybody else, working people. It's all a pyramid. Everything's a pyramid. A funnel is just an upside down pyramid to me. I would have voted left to troll, but it does look better on the right. Probably because the layer has a drop shadow on the arrow. Yeah, I wonder why my drop shadow was like looking weird. I don't know. Can you do a video on Sleep Token type beat? I don't know who that is. Sleep Token. That sounds interesting though. Sleep Token. Thumbnails 100%. So even if some changes could have been made comparatively to the original, it was better. Yeah. So I'm glad he gave us that example. A great teaching lesson. So I want to thank you for that. Now let's move into, what do you guys want to learn? I want to make this last, how long have we been live? Let me see. Hold up. We've been live for an hour and a half. So I want to make this last 30 minutes dedicated to your problems specifically. So in the chat, I will solve your problems specifically if you send them in the chat. So your problems. So this is dedicated to you. So how do I keep people to the end? You know, a better way that I could have opened up this video is, hey guys, thank you for hopping in this live. I'm going to answer your questions at the end. That's called an open loop. Neurolinguistic programming teaches about open loops. Whenever we can't resolve something mentally, we have cognitive dissonance. And we don't like cognitive dissonance. We like to resolve cognitive dissonance. That's why people in pain seek things to get them into pleasure. That's why they're more likely to do stupid stuff, because they're in pain. They're trying to resolve cognitive dissonance. If they don't have the means to understand how to do that naturally, you have to give them a solution. And so the way you create cognitive dissonance is to ask a question without the answer. Make people go down the rabbit hole. Say, hey, before I get to this, I want to show you something else. It creates an open loop. It's like an open tab on the internet. All right, let me read your frustrations here. I checked my most contrast thumbnail got second most views. Let me check your channel real quick. Let's see what he's talking about here. Videos. So you have 5 videos. And which one's the second highest? 247. So this one? Either way, this one has the vignette on the edges. Okay, that one's good. It just needs probably a little more like separation from the front and the back as far as that text. And then this one is very easy to read, straightforward. You have white text, dark background, very simple. But again, it's kind of hard to understand what it is. Like, is it a FL Studio video? Is it a beat? What is it? That's the only problem with your stuff right now. It's hard to understand what you're showing me. I don't know what this is. It just looks like a bunch of words. I'm trying to learn Amapiano. Okay. Can you show us a clear example of as little hurdles to click things you mentioned earlier? Yeah, it's systems thinking. And the whole point of a system is to reduce redundancy, reduce the unnecessary steps. That's all you have to think about is, how do I get this? Like, for example, if you email me at info@busyworksbeats.com, it's called one-touch customer service. So when people email me at info@busyworksbeats.com, I always resolve it and end it. Meaning if you're saying, hey, I lost access to my website or something like that, then I go, okay, I'll find your account. I'll copy the link to login. I'll paste it. I'll say, here's your login. Thank you for being a member. Enter. Done. I don't go, hey, how's your day? I don't open up the conversation to add more steps to somebody solving their problem. So it's just a way to think. How do you reduce the steps? Like, for example, let me show you a more musical example. So for example, if you wanted to time stretch and chop up a sample in FL Studio, you might do the old fashioned way, which is let's just grab this sample, for example. So let's say you wanted to time stretch this. You might grab the time stretch thing up here and then hit Alt and left click and have to zoom in perfectly to the line, hit Alt and then line it up perfectly. And then double click here, go to mode, stretch mode for this to even be time stretch. Okay, so that's the time stretch method, the old way. Now, the quicker way is, how do I do that in lesser steps? I go, okay, let's do that same sample. To do it in less steps, I just double click on the sample. I go to mode, stretch mode, and then I move the time knob to lock it to the grid. That's the same amount. That's the same result in less steps. Okay, so, and then I could take it even further, which is the loaded up in Serato sample where it time stretches automatically. So that would be the one-step solution. So you can see how we're doing the same thing, but it requires less and less steps. And that's how you need to start thinking in your business. Your customer should not have to make 85 steps to get to the next step. It's too much thinking. Will you do more masterminds in the future? Yes. Like mastering, maybe. I would look up Panorama Mastering. He's really focused in on mastering specifically, but I'm learning more and more mastering plugins that I like. So I'll share them when I can. Mastering requires I'll do that. That's a good one. I like that. Keltail says, if you want to limit your sales to like 3 clicks compared to 8, can you show us another example? So hopefully I gave that example. Buying drops is my problem is I don't know how to make a sleep token type beat. Sleep token. Okay, sleep token. This works beats. I politely ask, what Shure mic is that? This is a Shure SM7B. So the goal for you buying drop, is it just to make a sleep token type beat, or is your goal to get more people to check you out? Because I can tell you right now, I've never heard of sleep token, and I would never think to even Google that. And my point is, how much traffic is that getting? But I don't know your goal. Your goal could just be to learn how to make sleep token type beats. But in terms of this stream, where I'm teaching you guys how to get streams, you want to think big. Politely ask, okay, I asked that. Keltail says, also, if we're talking about thumbnails, I do try to make my thumbnails for live streams before the actual stream. I'm lazy, so I don't. so I can work on getting people to check out the live stream. I could have, but I have to ask also the time cost. Should I spend an hour to do the thumbnail? Do people really care? Like if you look at my top videos, I have to look at data on my channel. So if you go to my channel, for example, all my top videos have automatically generated thumbnails. None of them have thumbnails. All my top videos, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all YouTube automatic generated thumbnails. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the top 10 videos. The only thing I did was add text to the 10th one. And these all got over 1 million plays. The 12th one has more text on it, but like none of these are really like thumbnails until you get to about 15 or 20 down. None of my top videos have thumbnails. So I have to remember that for myself. Sometimes people want to step into the desired outcome and they're used to already seeing FL Studio. So I say, let me just show the desired outcome on the screen, which is whatever they're trying to learn on the screen. So it's a little bit different way of thinking, but I'm trying new thumbnails now to get more people to click, which those videos are from 6 years ago. So the market has changed. I will say that. But the shorts that I do get a lot of views and a ton of subscribers. And that's why we're having a huge peak right now. If you go to my YouTube, let's go to Social Blade, for example. Look up BusyWorks Beats. There's so many people saying the channel's dying and all this stupid stuff. Just don't listen to people who lie. If they don't have facts, tell them to shut up. So for example, we had 30,000, I think, subscribers last month, and now we're already up to 10,000. Okay, we're getting 2.26 million, and this is because we had viral shorts. Okay, then we had 2.266 million views this month. We're going up in views, going up in retention rate, going up in watch time, but we're also serving you guys. It's not just like for the sake of numbers. It's because I'm trying to solve your problems on a bigger scale. Hello, Marine Corps veteran here, starting my music journey. Shout out to you for serving the country. Learning production from you and working on my writing. Any tips on creating content? I don't love the camera too much, but I'm very funny. That's hilarious. Funny enough, people obsess about the camera and all this. I'm gonna tell you guys, all of my top videos are camera-less. It depends on what you're talking about. Let me go to your channel. Hold on. Now, if you're doing talking head videos, of course you need a camera, but you could use your phone. That's good enough quality. The only thing about the phone footage is that you want the audio to be good. It's the only thing you need to work on right now is probably audio capture. These videos look very random. I would assume these are beats. It looks like a house project here. It looks like a garage and then a beat of some sort. And then like, it looks like a soccer game going on. So if I had to quickly guess, it's too random. But once you start getting into the flow of things with content, let me see which one's your highest one. Let me see, 359. So it looks like your music is the highest. Just what do you plan to do on this channel? Like I'll subscribe, but you got to promise me that you're going to do something on this channel. Who do you want to serve? I guess is the better question. You served America. Now, how do you want to serve as far as content creation? They're getting famous. So you said you're very funny. Maybe you can cover hot topics. That's a quick way to get subscribers. I've seen people with less than like 100 subscribers, less than 10,000 subscribers get hundreds and millions of views. So what I would do, maybe you're a social commentary type of funny. I don't know your type of funny, but if you do social commentary funny, like Patrice O'Neal or Opie and Anthony or Howard Stern type, you could go to Google Trends, go to trending now. And again, we have to ask, where does traffic come from? It comes from people's search intent. It comes from what people are looking up. So this is another way to get more streams to your stuff. You could flip this into entertainment. So you could go to real-time searches. I like to narrow it down to the entertainment field, but you could talk about anything. I don't know what you'd like to talk about. Maybe you'd like to talk about health or business or science or sports. I'm not a sports guy, so I'm going to focus on entertainment. And then these give you the top stories in the world as far as what to talk about. So it says record store day, record shop picture disc. I don't know what that is. Record store day. I've never heard of that before. So I might look that up and talk about it. So it says record store day announces 2024 exclusive titles. I have no idea what this even means. That's so vague. I have no idea what the freak that means. So I would have to dig more about what record day even is. That's not enough content for me to talk about. So I would go to the next thing. AMC Network settlement, video privacy protection. I don't know what that means. Don't care. Pokemon Go. I might talk about how As a kid, I loved playing Pokemon. Now Pokemon Go made Pokemon dangerous because kids are walking in the street with their face in their iPhone like this, get hit by cars and stuff. So you might pull up a story about your experience with Pokemon. Just flip it. This is called spinning a narrative, flipping narratives. It doesn't mean lie. It just means flip this into your intent. It means take the search volume, bring it to your focus so that you raise the probability of somebody socially interacting with you, which leads you closer to social intercourse, aka commerce. Okay, so that's the goal. Look at DJ Academics. Yeah, he's a media company, but it depends on what you're trying to build, what type of company you're trying to build. Not everybody's a media company. I'm losing my juice, as you guys could probably tell. They're getting famous very fast, and I want to make a beat like them for traffic while they are hot. Okay, not a lot of tutorials since they're newer. Okay, gotcha. Any guidelines for when I'm live and responding to comments? Wait, what? Any guidelines for when live? Oh, for when you're going live and responding to comments. I mean, in your beginning stages, you're not too big to respond to somebody in your chat. You got to be thankful that they even chose to listen to you. Yeah, I didn't say that to have you make slight suggestion. Okay. On the other hand, I heard it, but wouldn't click on the type beat because it's experimental rock. Okay. Busy, a year ago, you had a video on how to make an emotional hip hop beat. Major thirds, please. I'm kindly asking for. Well, you have to understand that emotions, there's a lot of emotions. So when I say emotional, usually people mean like sentimental or sad or melancholy. So you want to look for different keys and different. I teach this in my Music Theory Magic course. So if you go to busyworksbeats.com, I want you to look for this course called Music Theory Magic. Scroll down and look for what's called the Music Theory Magic course right here. Because I go into how to evoke emotions. Wait, it goes to the wrong link? Oh, I got to fix that. That is a error I made by accident. Wow, now I know. I'm glad I did that because I would have never known that went to a different link. We redid a lot of the stuff on the website, so some links are still on. Here it is, Music Theory Magic. So if you go to all our courses, you click on Music Theory Magic. So in here, I teach you how to evoke emotions. Here's the whole curriculum. It's how many hours of teaching? 11 hours of teaching. But you can go in and pick what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear. Just skip through whatever you want to do. But I go through, you want to look through the book, the Music Theory Magic book, because in the book, I show you there's many charts about how to trigger emotions, what keys trigger different emotions. Let me see if I can pull it up. Actually, I can't because my search thing is off. But hopefully it pulls it up. It might not, though. I turned my search thing off so it wouldn't mess with my computer in the background. So I don't have that can't pull it up. But basically, it's a whole 100-something page book that I wrote, okay, that goes through the different emotions. So let's pull up a piano, for example. I'm going to transpose the key. Hold on, let me take out my hard drive for a second. Hold up. Hopefully FL will let me. No, dang it. I got to exit FL to. We don't need to. Let me just type it in. Okay. So I could write in C major, which is going to give me a happy type of outwardness feel. Inside, I also have this in the Music Theory Magic. So there's emotions you could pull from. So I have all these different emotions you could pull from. So when you say emotional melodies, you have to ask which emotion. Okay. So let's say you want to create the nostalgia emotion. So we're going to write it in the C major. So just drag it over. So this is C major, meaning just default position. Let me turn this down. That's way loud. Takes me back to the days where I used to play Pokemon. I'm just Okay, so that's an emotion now. What if we change keys and pull this down one? Now we're in B major. Feels a little more serious, a little more sentimental feeling. And that's because we changed keys, okay? So changing keys is like changing colors. When you see green and yellow, or maybe if you see red and yellow, you think playful. When you see blue and purple, you think serious, melancholy type colors. So the same thing with keys. Every key has a different emotion. Now we're in A major. It feels very sad. So when you ask me how to make emotional stuff, it goes deeper than just, hey, just do this, raise a third, lower the third. I have to use the keyword emotion for the YouTube title, but in reality, that's only one of the many emotions we could pull from. So just try different keys. I think that's your quickest solution. But look up Music Theory Magic at our busyworksbeats.com because that goes through the actual science behind it. And it goes way deeper. And that's not even the full curriculum. So this is the whole curriculum here. It's pretty deep. And I have ear training as well. All right, so that's that. So hopefully I'm giving you guys applicable gems here. I'm running out of juice though, and I'm hungry, so gonna answer these last questions here. Pardon me. Taking it, okay, sleep token. This is Dembo. Show off your music as the end result. I think people will respect your music more when you do that than if you just put up a beat of just your music. We want to add value to somebody else. What problems are we solving for them? That's what it comes down to. What's your opinion on an Akai MPC? From what I asked Sound Oracle, he said the one to really focus on is the MPC 60 because it actually has a sound in the, I want to say converters or the outputs. I forget exactly what he said. The preamps, one of those. But as far as the other MPCs, I don't think they have that same component base. So you're not going to get those unique things about an MPC. The other ones are just kind of fancy MIDI controllers that do stuff. I like the workflow of a keyboard and a DAW more than I like the drum pad workflow and scrolling, and it's just not my workflow. I've never really dedicated to an Akai MPC. I do have the machine, but I don't have the MPC. I have Ableton Live Push. I just never got into the pad thing. I feel like pads are for my kid. To get my kid into beat making, I might pull out the pads because he could just smack on it and it makes a sound. Not saying it's for kids, but it's a different approach. That's all. For some reason, it doesn't let me comment the genre of metal, but you'd probably know when I said tremolo picking. Okay, tremolo picking. I've heard of tremolo, but not tremolo picking before. Busy, how can we increase traffic to our website? So hopefully this video gave you might have to rewind this live stream because it all starts at the top. It starts at content creation, solving a problem, and guiding people to a solution. Go watch my How to Sell Beats masterclass. That will give you the other part. But I just wanted to break those myths today about where traffic comes from. You create the traffic. Now, since you create the traffic, you have to direct the traffic to where you're trying to go. Don't direct the traffic to competitors. That's the dumbest way to go about directing traffic. Direct traffic to your websites, to your things, because you raise the probability of somebody doing business with you. Now, to get traffic, you can look at trends. If you don't know how to get traffic, let's say you're at 0 views, you have no idea how to do it. Look up trends, do keyword research, look up Ahrefs YouTube keyword tool, look up Google Keyword Planner. You got to figure out what are people searching on the internet. Again, it starts with intent. What are people doing on the internet? They're not just scrolling around. If they are scrolling around, it's because they're on these platforms like interruption-based platforms like Instagram, TikTok, where it's just a random roulette of stuff. Okay, that's because their dopamine's firing off based on novelty, and they drain people's dopamine basically to stay on the platform. Every 8 minutes, our dopamine replenishes for the most part, and that's when they trigger that novelty in their users. So it starts with intent, and that open loop social status is what people are usually doing on social media. I don't have time to go through it all because it's too much to explain. But basically, if you're not going on Google to search up something, you're going to an app to do something. So you open your phone, you open an app, you have an intent half the time. Sometimes it's just hypnotic rhythm. So let's say you don't have an intent. You have the social media app and it's interruption based. In interruption based platforms, you have to play that game of being interruption based. How do you do that? You have to pay for ads because that's the whole point of the platform, is to be interruption based. Or you have something that's shareable. And when you want to create shareable stuff, you have to make the other person look cool. So a lot of people are making stuff, making them look cool, but they're not making the other person look cool. So when I make tutorials, it's friends trying to help friends. Like, oh, I want to show my friend this because I want to help them. So they share my tutorials like that. And that's why they share it. It's not just like a video of me singing. Like, who cares? That doesn't help anybody. Unless it's like super inspirational or emotional or something like that. It has to move people on some level. That's what the Music Theory Magic course is all about. It shows you how to move people with emotion. So interruption-based contents and platforms, I should say, you have to play the game of interruption-based. You have to think about open loops. You have to think about creating a negative perception when people first see you and then flip it into a positive outcome. You have to make people think they're about to assume the negative, because what people do, there's 4 levels. You have a spectator, a skeptic, a subscriber, and a supporter. In short, the spectator needs curiosity to even dig into your world, okay? They need curiosity. Let me go big screen, hold on. I'm running out of juice, y'all. Okay, so firstly, you have the spectator. This person needs curiosity to dig down the rabbit hole. Give them curiosity. How to give curiosity? They have to assume the negative with your thumbnail or your first clip or your first meme title. Assume the negative, but then when you go about the video, you flip it into the positive. Never be a negative content creator. You will pull so much negative energy in your life. It's not worth it. Don't lie in content. Don't be super negative in content. It's not worth it. Okay, secondly, you have the skeptic. Now, again, spectator, it comes in with curiosity. The skeptic is looking for negativity. It's looking for a flaw. And so when you introduce negativity, our natural instinct is to seek flaw. So you're digging into the natural instinct to seek flaw. And what you want to do with the skeptic is to present non-flaw, but basically make them think there will be flaw. Okay, so that's an art unto itself. Third level is a subscriber. To convert a skeptic into a subscriber, you have to prove them wrong, or prove their assumptions wrong, I should say. Overcome their objections, it's called. And then fourthly, you have a supporter. How do you get somebody to turn just from a follower into a paying customer? That's the magic of marketing. And that's the magic of understanding communicating. You want to show them how you can take them from where they are to their destined outcome, their desired outcome. That's marketing. That's communicating how your thing will take them from a no-name artist to a high social status artist who, maybe they want to be around girls. I don't know. Maybe they want the lifestyle, whatever their social status thing is. Most artists want social status. They want clout. They want showy stuff. That's just the reality of what the market wants. They're not buying the fact that the music sounds good. They're buying social status. That's what they're buying. They want Spotify plays because they want to be heard. What does being heard mean? That you're acknowledged by many people. What does that mean? You have a higher social ranking. They're buying social status. Today's stream was a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's still a lot to even go. I didn't realize how much there is to teach about this until I started teaching about this. But that's how you convert a subscriber into a supporter, is showing them how to go from point A to point B, their desired outcome. They have desired outcomes of mastery, health, or fitness of genes, survival in that case, social status, which is what most people want in music. And then lastly, I said mastery, didn't I? Prevalence, aka mastery. Or wealth. I forgot wealth. All right. So I teach mastery. Like, my thing that I teach is not wealth. I don't go, hey, learn how to make a beat and make $1 million tomorrow. I don't teach that. Okay. I don't teach social status. Hey, make a beat today and work with Drake. You see all these titles on YouTube, but I don't like to market that way. I think it's cheesy. I'm teaching people how to be masters of a craft. Whether you work with Drake or not, you're going to be a master of music production, music theory, and learning how to mix. That's what I'm focusing on. Mastery. To be a true master, because masters attract the masses. Look at Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is dating one of the best quarterbacks in the whole league. He's a master. He attracted one of the most wealthy artists in the world because he's a master. Masters attract people to them. They're seen as a spectacle of God's creation. They're seen as God's, what do you call them? Paintbrushes. You're watching God's mastery through a human. And that's why you had titles like, what do they call it? God Kings, or a certain word for it, where back in the old times, they would have kings, but people believed that kings reported to God directly. And that's why kings had so much tyrannical power back then, because they literally thought that talking to the king was like talking to God's representative on earth. That's what mastery gives you, is people see you as a king of a thing, and they feel like they're connecting with the higher source because you inspire them to see their future self or their desired outcome. That's what marketing is. Okay. So much to go through, but I'm running out of juice, as I said. How can you find out which key you're in after adjusting the key of your sample? There's a plugin called AutoKey by Autotune, Antares. You can look into that. Or Scalar 2 is the one I would recommend. Could you scroll up and check out my question? I'm losing so much motivation because of that problem. For some reason, it doesn't let me comment. I don't see your question. The metal style, okay. I love to sample metal for my trap beats, and whenever I match the sample to the tempo, majority of the time the sample slightly changes tempo and it drives me. So sometimes when you're dealing with human-based, like human playing, you're gonna have to go to the decimal points. So in your tempo, you know, sometimes it's like 139.7. Like you're gonna have to go over decimal point and start working that in until you lock it in. It's too much to teach you right now about time stretch and all this stuff. So just look at my videos. I hate to give you a shortcut answer here, but like this right here, you can click in the top left, go to detect tempo. This sometimes gets it right. Half the time it's wrong. So you have to manually look at it. So what I do is I listen for the snare and I look at the downbeats of the drums. So I go, okay, when I change the tempo, where do these transients go? The transients should line up with downbeats. So that's an indicator. This is probably a more proper tempo, 151.5 in this case. Oops. Okay, so now this isn't even time stretch, right? So we would need to pull it up to 4 bars. And then I need to line up those transients. And that's how I would do it, is moving the tempo just slightly. Now, because I time locked it, it's not going to do it. But it's just, I'm sorry, it's too much to teach you about time stretch right now. I don't mean to be vague. But try to work in the decimals, especially with live playing. Therusha says, Busyworks, you inspire me a lot and learned a lot from you. Thank you. I watched your previous live stream where you were watching a reaction of a reaction, and I believed I sided with your take on it because you don't seem to attack while others did. It's a lot of people just fiending for traffic. And what do? They go to the people who actually know how to get traffic because they need to leech off of them. Okay. So, you know, you have to ask, if the person they're criticizing doesn't get traffic, why are they using the person who gets traffic's name in order to get traffic? And that answers all your questions right there, because we know how to get traffic. Been marketing for a long time. I've got over 200, probably over 250 million views on social media alone. That's traffic. Just because you send somebody to a Spotify playlist doesn't mean that they have Spotify mastery. It just means they sent people to Spotify. I've gotten streams on multiple platforms, sending traffic wherever I want the traffic to go. It's very different. And that could be to your Spotify, to your website, to whatever. I'm just trying to break the paradigm that everybody has to think that Spotify is the end goal to everything. Hopefully I'm teaching you guys that. Just quickly reading your comments. You're talking about Weaver Beats, but after that stream, I told you YouTube not to show me that channel. It's okay if you consume Weaver Beats. I'm not like trying to create a hate campaign. It's just there's certain creators on YouTube that only get traffic by bringing up other people who do get traffic's name because they don't know how to get traffic. So they have to leech off of people who get traffic. That's what I'm trying to say. Never took marketing lessons. Now at 2 a.m., I'm eating buffet from the stream. Dope. I kind of want to eat the leftovers from last night. Sup, dog? Know what I'm saying, homie? We aren't seeing your screen. Yeah, I know. It's nothing to see. I think it can help. It also helps you go about it, in my opinion, getting exposure for dragging someone doesn't seem right. Everybody has their own morals and ethics. I understand he has a family to feed, so you know I can't critique all the way. I'm not perfect, you know. I'm the last person to give a critique to anybody. All right, so we will end this. I appreciate you guys. It's been 2 hours of hopefully gems for you guys. Just hit the like button, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. If you do want to master music production specifically, you want to learn mixing. I even have music business, meaning the business of online music. I should say it that way, not music industry teachings, music business. If you want to learn all this, just go to my website. Sign up for free. There's no reason why you shouldn't join, because all you guys have questions that I answer on the site. If I were to release music, how much would you recommend to release first? If I were to release music, how much would you recommend to release first? Like a short EP or decent album? Well, think about it. You can release the album and make content to drive people to the album. I don't see the point in dropping a single and then sending everybody to the single and then dropping another song. It's pointless. Just send everybody to the album. They don't know your album anyway. They don't know your single anyway. They don't know you anyway. Make content and then drive people to whatever you want. Don't worry about the product. The product they'll find over time. It's just that people don't have enough product. I'd recommend you drop albums before you drop single. I actually hate when I go on the streaming sites and it's just single here, single there, single there. I like projects personally. So when you're listening to the people dropping singles, they have a different marketing campaign to where they drop a single and they put all their content around one thing because they have to do music videos. They have to do podcast appearances. They do a lot. There's a lot more expense behind it. If you're not spending a lot of money doing that, there's no reason why you should drop singles. There's no benefit to dropping one song at a time. And I would debate anybody live stream on that. Any marketer, any whatever. People without huge audiences dropping one song at a time is just you're going slow for no reason. All right, so I'm going to end it here. If you guys do have questions, leave it in the comments below. Hopefully we'll go live next and answer those questions. Appreciate you guys. Come hop in our Discord too. It's completely free to join. We're going to do song feedback tomorrow, Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So hop in our Discord. It's discord.gg/busyworksbeach. Shout out to all the loyal folks, all 55 plus of you guys.